Hello, my darlings. So, first off, I apologize. I'm recording these back to back, so if I sound a little congested, it's because the last episode had me tearing up pretty badly. So, first off, we're gonna touch base on self-harm, self-mutilation, self-destruction. I feel like I should say, as I say in all my videos, that I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and the opinions expressed here are just that, opinions. If you feel that you need help or you do suffer from any of these problems, you should seek professional help immediately. With that being said, I apologize. These are pretty emotional topics, so self-harm and self-mutilation and self-destruction. It comes in many forms. The first one we'll talk about is cutting. I personally, I can't say I've never tried, but I've never succeeded. I've cut myself on accident while being an idiotic teenager and playing with a knife, but that's not necessarily because I was upset or trying to cut myself. However, I remember distinctly when I was younger that there was one time I did try to cut myself, and I couldn't do it. I scratched myself. I would scratch myself in a fit of rage and frustration, which still isn't very good. But I suppose one reason that we do these things, in my opinion, well, there's a couple reasons. One is because, just like with tanning or any kind of pain, our body releases endorphins, which help us cope with the pain. This, to some extent, can also help us cope with emotional pain. So, in an effort to deal with our emotional pain and to numb it, you hurt yourself physically. Another reason would be psychologically. Some people feel the need to express their pain, and to some extent that is a form of expression. It's not a healthy form, but it is a form of expression, and there is something to be said about someone wanting to show the pain that they're feeling. And from not knowing how, that's how it comes out. People cut themselves, bruise themselves, burn themselves when they're upset. In my case, when I was a teenager, scratch themselves. It's not healthy, and you shouldn't do it, but some people do. I want to share an experience I've had on this. Not mine, but someone else's. Someone who, when I was an old teenager, was close to me. I didn't mind knives before. Like I said, I'd cut myself playing with them. I didn't really care. I liked swords and knives, and I still have swords. But this person has given me, I don't know what you would say, a phobia of other people playing with knives. So, my high school sweetheart and I were having an argument. And we'll go into emotional abuse later. But, long story short, he was playing with his knife. And, out of frustration, I had asked him to put it away before he hurt himself. Well, in an effort to get back at me, he cut himself. what he had meant to only be a small, self-mutilating, surface-deep scratch was actually an inch deep, 3 inches long, cut through his forearm. He severed tendons, almost. About maybe a quarter of an inch more than he would have. Well, that wasn't on purpose, but hurting himself was. And I freaked out, called 911. He was gushing blood everywhere. And I couldn't stop it. I became hysterical because I had no control over that, and I couldn't fathom what he had just did and why. Well, the ambulance picked him up and took him. He actually had severed an artery on his arm. Thankfully, the ambulance got there pretty quickly. And the doctors knew that it was self-inflicted. Me, being the idiot that I was, lied for him and told him he was tossing his knife around and cut himself. Looking back, I shouldn't have. He was emotionally abusive, and the years I would end up spending with him were a waste, but they made me who I am. They gave me the experiences I have to share with you. Sometimes we hurt ourselves because we feel that no one else cares, or to prove a point, but you really shouldn't. I know to some extent we all do it. There's more than just cutting, or scratching, or burning. There's multiple types of self-mutilation, or self-destruction. I went through a time for a while that I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep, and knowing me, sleep is one of my favorite things to do. This wasn't any time recently, but several years back, I went through a time where I wouldn't sleep, so I would show up to work and drink 5 Monsters a day. Monster being the excessively caffeinated energy drink. And I even went so far as to take caffeinated pills, the type that truckers take, and when the world started feeling like it was rocking underneath me was about the time that I was like, maybe this isn't the best idea, because I probably could have given myself a heart attack. Alcoholism is another self-destructive method. Any kind of substance abuse, really, because if we can't cope with feelings, then we find a way to numb them. And whether it's hurting yourself to release endorphins, drinking excessively to completely numb everything, which I sadly have done in the past, or substance abuse like drugs, pot, meth, heroin, cocaine. I've never done any of those. But some people do them just because life's too hard and they don't want to deal with it. There's nothing wrong with having these feelings, but please don't act on them. There are other ways. And like my experience has shown, just because you intend on doing one thing doesn't mean that's how it's going to end up. You can get alcohol poisoning and die. You can cut yourself too deeply and not get help in time and bleed out. It's a pretty painful way to die. It's slow. You can overdose on a drug. You could be allergic and end up dying. I'm not saying that anyone is necessarily wrong, because we all are different and we all deal with things in our own way. I've found that the most constructive way to deal with problems is to express it. Believe it or not, making these videos helps me just as much as I'm hoping it helps you. It allows me to feel like I am helping somehow, and that you people actually are able to glean some type of information off of it, so that you won't have to go through what I've been through. I draw, I write, I make videos, I play video games. There's a lot of things I do, and I have a lot of hobbies, because each one's a different way to express life. Even if it's just for the sake of doing it. Why not try writing something? Or reading? Reading is surprisingly a good coping mechanism to let yourself escape, even if it's just temporarily. Now, by all means, it's not a cure. The only cure can really be obtained by changing your perspective, choosing to change. But it's a good start. And who knows, you might be good at something. You might find your passion. I've been drawing since I was a little kid. And yeah, some of the things I draw are kind of depressing sometimes. And some of the things I write are kind of depressing sometimes, but they help me express how I feel. And who knows, you might find that you're actually very skilled at writing or drawing or sculpting or painting. You might actually find something you really enjoy doing and invest in it. Who knows, it could become something you become great at. There's a lot more to life than just pain. You just have to know how to find it. And no one can force it on you. Only you can really choose to feel anything. I'm not saying that you have to push down all of your painful feelings, or stick them in the bottom of your stomach, or ignore them. Yeah, someone's gonna be upset from time to time, but it's how you cope with it that's important. It's hard for someone who doesn't hurt themselves through cutting or physical mutilation to cope with someone who does. If your parents or your loved ones see it, they're probably going to get angry first. And you're going to feel attacked. And so you're going to just get more upset and do it more. And it becomes a very vicious cycle. They get angry because they care. And because they don't know how to cope with it. They can't fathom why you would do this, and it hurts them considerably. You might not feel like it, but they're angry because they worry about you. They just can't express it. So, there are plenty of other ways to express it, and I'm not shaming anyone for doing it. Just saying that there are more constructive ways. Ways that won't make you feel horrible about yourself. If you need help, then you should find it. If you need suggestions or want to know more, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do for you. So thank you for listening, and I hope that this got to everyone who needs to hear it. I'll see you on the next episode where we talk about abuse. Till then. Hi guys, thank you for watching my video. It means a lot to me. If you like what you see, why not like or comment? Or if you really want to stay up to date on my videos, you can hit the subscribe button, which should be right under this video. I believe it should be right about there. So, Thank you again for joining me, and I really appreciate it.